Hello, we're back. This segment would be very special because we're going to have 5 series of lady painting tutorials. The time lapse on these paintings are out and it is available to view on my channel. You can just search it. But these are just the tutorials and we're going to have 5. So we'll see how it will pan through because this is a long one and I probably would want to do 1 tutorial a week or maybe 2 tutorials a week. So we'll see how it goes. I might combine these videos into one, 2 videos into one. But for now, let's just go ahead and start with the first lady tutorial. This is the bridesmaid with red dress holding a flower bouquet. So at first we're going to sketch. We are sketching the dress of the lady. It is very simple. This is for a beginner acrylic tutorial. I'm just trying to sketch her dress just for me to have a guideline. So I'm doing the shoulder, then just add the arm with the flower bouquet in there. Then I want a floppy dress, like really, bunch and big. She can be a bridesmaid or the bride. So, and don't forget your surface. So we're trying to add a surface in there. If you're not familiar or comfortable doing a sketching, I suggest to practice on sketching first. So we're about to add the colors on our painting or on our sketch. By the way, I'm using a 10 by 10 stretch canvas stapled on back. You can use a canvas paper or any available paper you have just for practice. I'm using a gray for the hair at first, then black. You can use any color for the hair. If you like blonde, you can do that. You can change the color instead of what color I'm using. So I'm pretty much using burnt sienna, black, and a hint of white just to mix. So it's a brunette hair color. So just add the black for the dark, so it has the depth on our hair. So I'm just trying to add colors and just using our guide sketch in there. And I'm using a flat brush. I'm switching my brush to detailed brush for the tip of the hair. I'm switching my brush for the bun or the flower on the head. I'm using the cadmium red, light and cadmium red, medium hue. So just to have depth on those, I'm using 3 colors: the cadmium red, the cadmium light red, and the orange. And I'm adding the portrait pink for the face and the arm. I'm using the detailed round brush. So just adding those colors in the arm. For the dark area, I'm adding the burnt sienna. So make sure you add those dark areas as well. Don't just add one color because it doesn't really add depth. It will look flat if you just add one colors. So make sure you add another colors to portray that, hey, there's a depth in here. The light is not showing in this section, that's why it's darker. Make sure you know where your light source, like what I said every tutorial, make sure you know your light source so you know where to add your dark and your light colors. So now we're coloring, we'll continue coloring our arm, our armpit, and then just take time and be patient. Painting takes patience. So I'm adding color to our dress. Our dress is supposed to be red. This is the darkest, so that would be the depth red hue on the back. Then while I'm doing and adding the dark section, I'm also adding a light section. So again, it has depth, not just a flat red. So I'm mixing 3 colors, the dark color, which is the red depth hue, the light red, and then the orange. You can make it 4 as well. You can add a little bit of yellow just to give a little hint of light. So keep in mind, always add at least 3 color variants when you do something, not just one color. If it is red that you're trying to portray, have dark red, light red, and close to the red, which is orange. Those family of colors needs to be together if you do something, so it shows variants of colors in depth. It doesn't look just flat. So now I'm adding portrait pink for the skin in the neck and the chest area, so a little lighter in there. In the left shoulder would be the light, so that's why it looks white, but it has portrait pink mixed with white. And then in the neck area, just add a little dark color in there, which is the burnt sienna. And just add a little bit of color in your chin to kind of separate your face to your neck. Right, let's switch our brush to a flat brush so it's faster to add colors in our dress. Add the dark color first, which is the outline where our drawing is, our sketch. Just follow those. Again, be patient. Painting takes time and takes patience. So I'm adding the dark red first, then the light red, and then the orange. So it might look like I'm just adding all red, but there is a different types of color red that I'm using. So when it dries, you will see that there is like a fold in the dress, which is the darker red. There is a separation in depth. Again, we keep emphasizing the depthness of our painting. Those are very important when you paint. You need to have depth. Try painting or drawing or even using a crayon. If you just use one color, even in a circle, just use one color or use 3 colors. If you do 3 colors, try to follow the light source where the light is the lightest color and the farther would be the darker color. You will see the big, huge difference if you follow what I keep saying, add depth. If you just use one color, you will see the difference that it looks just flat. So while I'm adding colors on those areas that doesn't have paint yet, I keep going back to the area that we painted already, because when it dried up I had to add another layer. Layering also in painting is very important. You can't just add one layer and you're good to go. What I've learned on painting is the more you layer, the more realistic it looks, or more, at least, not cartoonish. So those are like cadmium red. It's like a hint of orange. The cadmium red I really like because it's like a fire red. The deep hue red is like a Fuji apple. It's really dark red. So those are where my lines of my drawing. And then the regular ones are just the cadmium red, where is the light. So we don't just, you also need to plan on where you put your colors. You can't just add colors and then, because it won't be showing those folds of the dress if you don't plan those. So you can see I added the cadmium red and then mixed with the deep red and then orange. She is holding her dress while she is walking, so that's why there's a fold in there. By the way, I'm using a Liquitex basic paint. It is my go-to paint pretty much. So just add those folds, those ruffles, ripple, and adding those three colors. Just mix them. Sorry, by the way, with my camera is not focused. Sometimes I forget to change the location of the camera when I talk and paint. You get zoned out when you paint, and then you forget, oh, I have to zoom it out for the camera to capture the rest of what I'm doing. So now it's showing a little bit of depth, and you can see your brain register that, oh, this dress has this fold in this area, there's a ripple in this area, because of the depthness tree color that we used. So this is what I'm talking about. I forgot to zoom this out in this section I'm working on, and you won't really see it. So just keep adding those colors. Nothing special. This is a very simple tutorial of a lady. You can keep trying and practicing. I'm adding white in this section because she is holding the dress up, and this area in here is the liner of the dress. That's why it's light. So those are the liner. Those are not the outside fabric of the dress. That's why our dress is so poofy. We have different fabric layered on her dress. So as you can see, it's very simple. You practice and you get this pretty much easily. I'm trying to add colors on the ground, but it is not really. There you go. I just zoom out my camera. So I'm just adding the burnt umber on the ground where is the shadow of her dress. You can use a black, marsh black, or blue for the shadow, but I just choose to use the burnt umber since I already have it in my palette. So now I'm adding just another details on the hair. When I do hair, I usually use the detail brush. It's easier to maneuver the thinness of the hair strokes. I'm adding marsh black, and then I will layer it with the umber and then the sienna. So just keep adding those tiny detailed hair. So just adding and layering those hairs to give volume on our hair. Like I said, take patience, a lot of patience to do painting and lots of layering. So let's zoom in to our hair and to our bouquet. So now you can see the different color of the red in her hair. There's a flower in her head. There's dark red, just a regular red, and then orange. So those the same colors we use on the hair, the dress. And the hair we use the black, burnt umber, and sienna. Always use 3 colors minimum, and 4 or 5 the better. The more depth, the more nice your painting product would be. But since this is for a very basic painting tutorial for beginners only, that's why we're only using 3 colors, and to make the painting not so complicated, so everyone or those beginners trying to learn to paint would be easier for them to follow a tutorial like this. But for a next level tutorial, then yeah, probably we need to use 5 color at least minimum to get those depth and variance of colors. So I added streaks of hair in there in her shoulder, those hair that just lay down in your shoulder like that. So just add that way. Then we'll go back to our hair for our highlight since it's wet. We'll just leave it like that for now. Again, if this video is familiar to you, that's because the time lapse of this video was out already a month ago. I just decided to make a tutorial for this one and go ahead and upload it. So if people want a tutorial for the lady series, it's available for them. Right, I'm adding a little bit of dark in the dress in the side section. That is just a regular burnt sienna. Try to mix them and kind of blend them as well. I'm trying to do the surface in here, but I forgot to zoom out my camera again. I am bad on that. So I'm just preparing colors for our surface, and I'm adding some surface colors in there, and you just don't see it because the camera is not zoom out. Pardon my forgetfulness. And I'm still working on the surface, and I still forgot to zoom out. There you go. I finally realized that I didn't zoom it out. So now I'm adding another layer on the dress, the liner of the dress. The dress is really wet. It's very wet, so I'm really careful not to smudge them. Let's go to our bouquet. So she's holding a white rose bouquet. So I'm adding a burnt umber mixed with permanent green for the rose stems. So add the dark color first, and then layer the rest of the colors to the lightest. So I'm just adding some of those dark color in the arm and mixing them, since the shadow of the flower kind of reflect to the arm. So I'm just adding that. Adding the leaves of our bouquet, the dark part of our bouquet. So just add it. It might look so mushy, but later on it get layered. That's just the dark part. So just add random places, since it can get effect later on when we add the rest of the colors for the bouquet. So I'm getting a light green. There you go, and let's add those light green on those spaces there. Very simple, you just dab it using the round brush, and that's just the white highlight. You don't need to have details on the hands or the finger, because your brain will register and think that, oh, she's holding a bouquet. It's automatic. Your brain will do it for you. Now let's add the white rose for the bouquet. I'm just getting the titanium white so I can add it in our bouquet. take it back. I'm working on the ground first since our bouquet is wet, but guess what? I forgot to zoom out again. This video was before I have the camera stand. I have the camera stand right now that I've been using. It is really nice. I can just move them left and right, up and down really quickly. So I'm using the surface a marsh black mixed with titanium white, or if you have a gray, just go ahead and use it for your surface. This is like concrete surface that I'm using. So, but if you want to use let's say a pave design concrete for the surface, you can. Or maybe she is in the garden, then you can use a green or maybe a little bit of brown surface for the grasses. You can also maybe use a wood surface. Maybe she's in one of the room in the building, so there are a lot of possibilities to use and incorporate to the painting if you are doing this and do it yourself the way you prefer, the way you want it. So there is our painting. She is walking and trying to go to the event. It's very easy, very simple. And make sure you don't, make sure you have angle. If you notice, I brush my stroke of my brush on my surface has an angle about 45 degrees of that angle. Make sure you have those angles so it kind of portray that that's a surface. You can also maybe use a 30 degree of those strokes. Those are also good to use. Another way also for surface is maybe she is walking in the stone path with grasses. Then you can also do those. So, but this one is just a simple, we're focused on the lady, not the surface. And that's why it's just gray. Now we are doing the highlight on the hair. I'm just using the titanium white. And my hair is still wet. So everything is still wet. If you want, you can also blow dry them to get it dry really quick. And sometimes when the painting is wet, it's inconvenience to add color and mix them. But sometimes it's also neat and really good to have wet on wet blending. So it's up to you how comfortable you are on. If you like to, sometimes I do like to use it wet on wet mix, but sometimes I blow dry them. So just adding those details in there. Highlights and details, more layer in the hair, more colors in the hair. As you can see, my bouquet is still wet, or really wet. So I'm adding those white buds or white flowers. Sometimes it mixes with the green, that is fine, not a biggie. That's not the end of the world. So we can leave it that way, or you can add another white. Also, you can use different color. There you go. So we have our rose bouquet in there. Again, I didn't do details on those roses. Those are not focus on the subject. So here we go, our bridesmaid is ready. So I'm adding to have a splatter. Let's have some splatter in the background so that it's not bare white canvas. Just to add a little something. Just something in the background. So I'm just using a regular plateau blue, just to splatter. So you can see there's a little splatters in the background. So just to add something in the background. So I'm using a slant brush and then just using my finger to splatter it just like that. So here we go. Our painting is ready and done. Very simple for beginner step-by-step tutorial. Red Lady. Don't forget to sign your name. This is a great gift for if you have a friend that's going to get married. This is a nice gift to give.